you are going to be able to use this watering can, flower vase die set to make all sorts of things. It's very adaptable. So let me show you. I've done a board because there's so many dies in this set. I think if I'm pretty sure there's 22 dies in this set. You'll see. So this is just one half of the board. Make up the watering can dies. So you've got the outside edge for the panels, and this die set comes with an octagonal base. I'll show you in a minute. So those panels, you can see by the size of them, the only die in this set that won't fit through the A5 machine, purely for the length of it, is the handle. Everything else will go through an A5 machine. So if you know how to get the handle to go through if you've got an extender plate, or you know how to shimmy it along, all these dies will go through an A5 machine. We obviously would recommend an A4 machine, and that's what I will be saying, just because of the length of this strap. You can see it's nice and thin. So you've got the side panel, you've got the outside edge for cutting out of patterned and embossed card. You've got the detail die. I just love it. It's got a beautiful vine detail on there. It's absolutely stunning. You've then got this funny looking piece here, which glues to make the rim of the watering can. You've then got the outside edge dies that will cut to pieces so you can decorate that with your pattern papers, etc. And you've also got the detailed dies that you can layer into that as well. Okay, you've got the handle. You've then got the outside edge to cut that, so you can cut all of these pieces in decorative paper if you want to. You've then got the detail. This little piece here is for cutting the aperture for you to add your spout in, and I will show you that in the demonstration so it's very clear for you. Haven't finished yet. So then on this side, what we have is the octagonal base for your watering can. I've given you an extra piece for two reasons. So there's an extra piece if you are using a slightly thinner card and you want to make the base stronger. This has been made slightly smaller so it'll fit in the bottom of your box to reinforce that bottom. Okay, you don't have to use it if you're using like a 300 GSM card. You don't need it. What it also means is that these two will mat and layer so you can use them in your card making. See? Then you've got your piece that makes your spout. So this will make your spout, and then this piece makes the rose head for the watering can. You can use it with just the spout, or you can have the watering can rose in it. It's completely your choice. Okay, so we've got those two octagons. You can see the size of that base. It's huge. When it's completed with the spout and the handle, it's 20 plus centimetres across, and it's 17 or 18 centimetres high. It's a really big piece. This is the little piece. In fact, I'm going to take this off because I need this in a minute. That cuts the aperture for the spout. We've got the piece that makes the rim for the watering can. Again, this is optional. You can use with or without. That's completely your choice. Spout and rose. Okay, so that's one set of dies. This one I'm going to turn this way because they're so long. The handle is so long. And like I said, this is the die that needs an A4 cutting plate. If you know how to shimmy your dies along and you can cut that, all the others will fit through an A5 machine. These are the side panels. These are what I need. So you've got your side panel die. I'll keep that one there. You've got the separate outside edge so you can cut out of all your pattern papers and stuff. And then you've got the inlay of the decorative panel, because we like to give you as many options as we can. So I'm going to cut one side panel and one decorative edge, and I'll put that one to the side for a moment. So what I've got to do when I want to use these two together, and I always use a magnetic sheet, I find it much easier, if not just tape them in place. You're just going to lay that outside edge around the decorative panel. It just means that it gives you more options with your cutting. So I'm going to cut this in some green card because I've got a little project that I'm planning. Okay, and I'm just going to pop this through my die cutting machine. You can see how beautifully that's cut. So that's cut out of my green card, and you can see, look at that, absolutely stunning. You can see that against the black. One little piece to pop out there, all the rest is popped out. Oh, there we go. Just those two little ones. So that's your little decorative panel. The side panels, again, I'm just going to cut. I've got a piece of scrap here to fit that. I've worked out that you can get 5 side panels out of one A4 sheet of card. So you can see, again, that's cut my side panel nice and simply. Okay, so you can see that this is cut and scored at the same time. So I'm going to just score those edges, and I'm going to glue my decorative panel on. Okay, so I've chosen these colours because I wanted you to be able to clearly see the design. So I've chosen white as my background and a nice green. So I'm just going to glue this in place. I'm using the premium glue, as you can see, as usual. This is giving me all the detail I need for gluing such an intricate and delicate piece. And all I tend to do is just dot the leaves, and that's enough for me to glue this in place. You need to place that onto your side panel to get the spout to go in the right direction. So basically what I've just done there, I've done 8 times. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I just need one of those at the moment. Okay, and I'm going to use this little aperture die. Okay, and what this is doing is it's cutting the hole into your watering can for the spout. If you can see, there's a longer point on that aperture die. You want that point to always point downwards towards the base, the wider base of the panel, because it's gonna, that's the direction your spout needs to go in. Okay, and you want to put it about just over halfway down. You don't want it too high up. Basically, you've got to think that the spout is angled and it's going to be pointing slightly upwards, and you're going to have the rose on it. Okay, so I'm just going to take that in place this time. And I haven't cut it beforehand because I want it to cut through both the decorative layer and my white card. So you can see that that has cut out that little bit for my spout, and you can see that that point is, the longer of the points is pointing downwards. I've scored the 2 flaps all the way round on all of the 8 sides, and this is going to make quite a big net for our watering can now. Okay, so I'm going to offer up that and I'm going to use the score line and the side of the octagon to line up and make sure they're nice and straight, and I'm going to go around and do that with all 8 pieces. And you see I'm slipping that next glue flap underneath the one I've already glued. That just will make your life easier. So I'm going to go over this glue flap, and the other one's going to go underneath. It doesn't matter because you can push it through, it just makes your life easier. Line up that last one. You can see how nicely they have fitted around that base. Okay, so it's almost like a big kind of like sun now, with all of your pieces linked into that octagon. So now all I'm going to do is start. Now this is where it's going to be tricky for me to show you. I'm going to put glue on the first glue flap. I'm going to work my way around the circle again. I'm going to have to stand it up, so I'll do my best to show you as much as I can. So I'm going to stand that up, and you'll see that none of the glue flap interrupts that aperture. Okay, it's been sized so that that's not going to get covered by the glue flap that you're gluing down. And we'll go for the next one. So just fold it over. Right, one last seam to glue together. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll put this bit together and I'll show you the size. You'll be able to see the size of the vase this makes without even using the rest of the watering can elements, because it's huge. Right, let me just angle you a little bit so you can see a bit better for a moment. Can you see the size of this? I'll tell you how tall it is. Let me just measure it now. So this is without any of the other bits added to it. It's already 16 centimetres high, and it is, just as a vase, 13.5 centimetres wide. So it's huge. So you can use it just like that as a vase. Oasis in, obviously without the aperture in it. So you can use it as a vase like that with the decorative panels. So, but I'm going to move on to the watering can. You can see here, what I've done is basically the same thing as I did with the panels. I've used the outside edge and I've used the decorative panel. I've cut the pieces for the rim of the watering can and I've glued those in place. And then I've scored all these lines. Now, what I want to say to you, this is very delicate at these joins. If they come apart when you're making it, it doesn't make any difference to when it's finished. You just carry on gluing it. Don't think I've got to cut it out again. You haven't. We've just made sure they're connected in that way so that you haven't got to try and work out which bit goes where. It would have been a lot more complicated to have them as separate dies. So there's a little join there. If it does pop off, don't worry, you can just going to glue them. So you'll notice there are 1, 2, 3, 4 triangular glue flaps along here, and what they're going to do is shape the rim of the watering can. Okay, so I'm just going to add glue to the little triangle. I've slightly bent it over. I haven't completely scored it. I've just given it a little nick to bend it over, and I'm going to press those two together and you'll see this come together, and this just makes that sort of little rim on your watering can. So I've got that little rim piece there, can you see? So that's shaped it, and then the glue flaps are there. So I'm going to put that to one side with the base and let those dry, and I'm going to move on to the spout and the rose. And it's the rose that is probably the bit that I would say was slightly fiddly, but once you've done one, you'll get the hang of it. So I'm going to go through this really carefully so I can show you how you do it. So it comes with the rose sprinkler attached. So you can see I've bent over all of those glue flaps that are in that rose. Okay, and I've scored all of the folds in this rose. So you want to make sure you've done all that beforehand. And I'm making this piece first, and you'll see why when I make the spout. So I'm going to glue these pieces in place. So I'm going to start shaping it around just like I did with the other piece. So what you're going to need to do is just make sure that you offer that around, okay? And you should be able to, if I can get my little pinky finger up there, you want to make sure it's nice and tight. Just give it a little minute and poke that up. If you can't get your fingers in there, just use a pokey tool or something. And it is like I said, this is the fiddly bit, but once you've done one or two, you'll get used to it. Just give it a good pinch, and there we go. We've got that little rose for the watering can all made. Okay, So then I'm going to make the spout. So the spout, again, it's all been scored, all been done for you. So I'm just going to make sure I fold all those score lines, so when you cut it, it will emboss those score lines in there for you. You can see how easily they're folding for me. And I'm going to make sure I use my bone folder and make sure they're nice and sharp, the lines. Okay, I want them to be nice and sharp to get a nice finish. What I would say to you is make sure that you are making the rose first, so you've got time to let the glue dry on that. And don't try and put the rose, like don't put the spout on and then try and add the rose onto your watering can. You'll find that pretty difficult. So I've got that all scored. I'm then going to fold all of these glue flaps in one direction that are on this spout. And then I'm going to make sure that they've also got a fold memory in the opposite direction as well, for when I have to put this through the aperture. So that's all folded. I'm now going to just put glue. You've got like a little sort of, it's not quite a triangle, it's a four-sided shape there. And I'm going to fold this over. You can see that's all glued together. Okay, so what I'm going to do, you'll see here there's little glue flaps. And again, I'm going to bend these because I want these to have some give in them, in one direction and then in the other direction as well, so that they are easy to move, because they're going to end up on the inside of this spout. And you'll see why this bit needs to be done whilst this is not joined to the watering can. So I'm going to put some glue on each of these glue flaps. I'm also going to put some glue just around the edge of here. I just find this helps with the grab. Obviously, if you're using red line, to take this all grab very quickly. So it doesn't really matter which direction you put this together. Just depends. You'll get used to which way it will point when it's connected to the can. So you can see, this is why I've put some glue on there as well. So I'm putting that rose so it's facing downwards, and I'm pushing gently the spout to get a good adhesion with the two pieces. And then, so once I've let that have a little grab with that glue that I put around the edge, so just give that about 10-15 seconds. If you're using our glue, I can then get my pokey tool in there and I can press down those glue flaps that I loosened. And you've got that little spout. You'll be able to spend longer than I am on doing that. So you can see now I've got that aperture and I've got this here that's going to fit into my aperture, which is why I want all those glue flaps folded in. And then I'm going to add my glue. So we want this to be offered up. Can you see how that fits the aperture? And then inside, I don't know if you can see, all the glue flaps will appear. And all you're going to do is fold them into the box so they attach on the inside. So you're going to need to lift the box up. I apply pressure on both sides because you obviously can't lie this on a flat surface anymore, so that you get a good stick. Okay, and you can see how flushly that is sitting in there. Okay, so we've now got our little rose on there, and we've got our spout. Okay, and I'm going to now attach the rim, and the rim, the centerpiece of the rim is going to attach above where the spout is. So I'm just going to add my 5 glue flaps. I'm going to add glue on here. And then you're just going to offer up the first piece, and that will attach to that central panel above the spout. So you can see that that then attaches, so you're getting that raised rim. So you can see why this ends up being almost 18 centimetres tall. And then we've got our handle, and I'm going to slightly bend this. So again, I've, just like I did with the panel dies, I've done the same thing. I've used the outside edge and the decorative insert. I've cut a piece of green, I've stuck this to my handle, and I'm going to actually decorate the inside of this as well because I want to make this special. So I've cut two, so you can see they cut as lovely strips that come in very handy in your paper crafting for decorating. They make like really lovely ribbons for cards and things. And I'm going to glue this, now that I've slightly curved this, I'm going to glue this in place so I know that it's already shaped. There we go. At the top you've got two little glue flaps, and they're just, the reason I've put a little slit in them is in case you want to do anything different with these and angle them over one of the joins. Those two little joins, little glue flaps, and you've also at the bottom got a little bit of a decorative piece that you can either add a brad through if you want it to look like a screw head, but you can fold it so that it gives your handle a bit of shape. Okay, I'm going to then attach that to the inside of the box of the watering can, the base of the watering can at the top, and I'm then going to decide where I want that handle to sit and add that in as well. So I'm just going to hold that for a minute. So here is our gorgeous watering can. Look at the size of it. I don't think you can even see it on the screen, can you? I don't know if it'll fit. I'll have to lift you up. Let's see. Will the whole thing fit in? Let's see. I mean, it's huge. I can tell you, so I'll measure it live. It is, when I said 20 centimetres across, no, it's 29. This one is 29. Depending on how you angle the handle, you can make it slightly longer. It's 29 centimetres across, and it is 18 centimetres tall. Look at the size of it. It's huge. So this will fit your hydrant. Like I said, a lot of your larger flowers, you can use your smaller flowers in here, no problem at all. But if you are looking for something, a really lovely statement piece, this is great. And like the body of this watering can makes a gorgeous vase as well. Okay, so that is it made.